Pick up the phone. Pick up the phone. Pick up the phone. Pick up the phone.
So just in case of anything, I'm gonna write into our group chat on Slack, just so you guys know. It's cool. Hello, everyone. I'm WadiX. Welcome to the Critical Ops Community live stream. This is the place where you get the latest information on everything in the world of Critical Ops. Make sure if you haven't already, please follow us on our social media to be up to date on everything. We're on Discord at discord.gg/criticalops. We're on Facebook, facebook.com/criticalopsgame. Reddit, reddit.com/r/criticalopsgame. We are also on Twitter, and we have our new esports Twitter at cops_esports. And make sure you do also follow our Instagram. So, in case you are new to these streams, we are usually having these bi-weekly. And so right now, I just want to kind of let everyone know that you guys have a chance later on to win some cases. How these kind of streams usually go is that we start off with some news, we have some Q&A session, and then we have some viewer games and then some giveaways. But today, before we get started with our news, we have some special guests joining with me to talk about game design and some future plans that we have. I am honored to be able to have them on the stream today. Welcome to Igor, Kale, and Jonas. Welcome, guys.
Hey, everyone. Hey, happy
Hey.
to be here. Thanks for having us.
I think this is the first time that we're able to have like so many different cameras. I think usually we have a bunch of us in a room, and then I'm like kind of in a different camera or something. But hopefully this works out. But
Yeah, let's hope.
Can you guys let the community know who you are? Maybe like please give like an introduction about yourselves. Maybe share something about yourself that isn't related to Critical Ops, so they can get to know you guys.
Sounds great. Jonas, can you start?
Yeah, hello. So I'm Jonas, one of the newer members of the team here. So I'm here as a senior game designer, and basically we are taking care of a lot of the new features and things that you guys are always getting to see a little bit after we've had our run with them. So that's something, and it's been really interesting to get to work like during the COVID times that I started my work during these times and completely remotely. So it's been kind of learning process to get to know everyone on the team, and since we have offices in 2 different locations and people all around the world, so that's been an interesting challenge to get over, but getting there, and I think really interesting challenges that we've been able to tackle already in this short period of time. And yeah, I guess something about myself is that I am mainly an old school PC gamer for MMOs, but I used to like really hardcore play all the Korean MMOs, and my kind of nowadays just with the family and kids, it's mainly mobile, and that's what I've been doing, focusing on that and hoping to bring my knowledge to the team here at Critical Force. So maybe somebody else wants to jump in next.
Awesome, thank you.
You want to do that, Igor?
Yeah, I can go next. So my name is Igor. I'm a junior game designer at Critical Force. I started out as a QA, and after 3 years, I was given the opportunity to work as a game designer and, share my ideas of the game. I have played Critical Ops, well, for 3 years, and I am, well, above average at the game, so I can, play with the higher rank players, and I kind of, I bring a higher level of play perspective to the company. Yeah, and that's pretty much it. You can go next, Kale.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, and I'm Kale. Hey, game design lead, and yeah, I've been fortunate enough to work on different studios and different types of games, from card collectors to RPGs, and shooters are my passion. That's what I love, and I really like to work on shooters. And Critical Ops is definitely my favorite, and I'm happy to say that Critical Force, it feels like home. And this is a great place to work. And one of the things that I love quite a bit about it is how we handle things, like how we develop things and how we think about features. And we are really connected with the community. So as you can see here, and one of the key aspects of that is, in case of the design team, is always throwing ideas back and forth to actually get the best result out of it. And yeah, I've been playing shooter games since I can remember, all the way back to the original Doom. So yeah, this is awesome to work on, and it's really great to see when we release something or a tiny feature, the excitement on the people. That's really what drives me to try to bring the best. So yeah, it's really fun to be here with you guys. Yeah.
Awesome. And yeah, I was glad that you guys were able to kind of share some other things about your life, so that we all know that we're all kind of the same, except just in different fields, right? So we're really happy to be able to have you guys here to talk about game design. But before we get to that, we just want to update on a couple of different things in our community programs and about our updates, and then we can go straight into it. So yeah, can't wait. So without further ado, let's get to it. Let's talk about the circuit first. Critical Ops circuit is going on right now. We had the NA and EU qualifiers that were played and completed last weekend. The top 16 will continue on to play in our main tournament coming up next weekend, on July 24th. So the semifinals and finals will be streamed, so make sure that you stay tuned for information on where to watch. And coming up this weekend is going to be the SA qualifiers, so good luck to all of you that's participating. And of course, remember that if for some reason you were not able to make it to this month's qualifier, we have another month for August and another one in September. So there is still a chance for you guys to join in and get some points and qualify for the finals in October. But again, as I said earlier, we have our new Twitter, esports. It's at cops_esports. And you can get all the information there related to our competitive scene. Another thing to note is the tournament organizer program. Invites have been sent out, and there will be more later on in the near future. But so in case those of you that have been waiting, please make sure you do check your emails, as those has been sent out. And we can't wait to start working with you guys. And another update about the influencer program is we also have been going through those as well. And there will be some emails going out this and next week. So if you apply for the influencer program, please make sure that you keep an eye out for those. Next up, let's talk real fast, just to remind everyone, Deagles and Dragons event is still going on right now, and there is 10 days left, so make sure you still are able to jump on this event and play the very fun game mode. We'll probably play that a little bit later on today. We'll see what you guys want to do. But along with that, the Critical Pass also for season 15 ends in 3 days, just a reminder. And I guess for let's talk about 1.18. So
the latest one.
The latest one that just came out, you say?
Yep. Yeah, you can say that.
Yes. So 1.18 beta just came out. I have the website here that with the notes that we have, and the first thing that there is about the room owner, but we're actually going to talk about that later. So we're just gonna skip through it real fast so you can see what is in 1.18. and just a little preview of what it is in case you haven't seen our website yet. But first thing we want to talk about is the third-person holsters. So I was able to get some images to show here. Did you guys want to talk a little bit more about the whole idea about this feature coming into the game?
Yeah, let's talk about it. This is something that is quite cool and has been in, let's say, in the wish list for a long time, and it's really cool to see it happening already. But yeah, we can talk about it from as a player and as a developer and all the challenges that we had to go through to get this out. Yeah. So yeah, so in the images that you see there, one of the, I think, biggest concerns that we have was, okay, how that kind of impact gameplay? Like, is that going to be a problem? Like, do you see something from afar, or you have a skin and you're more noticeable, and how you can actually balance those? And that was, let's say, one of the biggest constraint that the feature was not being picked up for. And I think we managed to get to a position on, okay, I think this is not going to impact the gameplay as much if we put it in this position. And then when we tested that, it was like, oh, this actually works quite nice. Okay, what about the knife, or what about the secondary weapon like the pistol? Where can it go? And I think you can see from the beta how that works, and I think it works quite nice, and it blends into the character quite well. So we're quite happy with the result. And it's really cool to see actually when you have that big sniper on your back, and then you see, oh, these guys, it's meaning business, right? You have the U ratio like there. So, and you see your awesome skin as well. So we are quite happy to see it out already. So yeah.
Awesome. This is really cool to be able to see. Yeah, I've actually been asking about this for quite some time, and again, really happy to see this, and can't wait to see. I guess this is like really important now for your loadouts, so you can see your primary, your secondary, and people will be able to see. I guess your taste in.
Yeah, what it really allows is like give you kind of like who you are as a person, like with your skins, like which weapons do you choose, what kind of skins, and make it more like a visual experience when you see the other player rocking those new tier 7 skins or something. So that helps you a lot.
Well, I mean, since we're here talking about this, I mean,
Sure.
before we talk about the other stuff in the update, just came to mind. So, I mean, some people have been asking about other things like that you're able to see. Maybe there is, let's say, the gloves that you're able to see, or there might be some sort of animation or something, and maybe you can share some thoughts about it. What's maybe some challenges and whatnot.
Yeah, for sure. That's actually a great point. And I think if you look at this feature, it actually require like a great push from the development team and the programmers as well, because, okay, how can we actually overcome this challenge? And there are, fortunately enough, we have people that are really motivated to get this out. And that's one of the biggest reasons that you see it out. Like, okay, I'm going to push it through and going to figure this out. So as an example, you can tell that, let's say we bring animations to the gameplay, and we bring also tons of skins in let's say the gloves. You have to actually load all that. So which means the footprint of the memory is going to increase on your gameplay. Yeah. So it's not as simple as, oh, I can see, as a player, you can see, oh, I can see the gloves. That's quite easy, right? But then it's like, okay, those players that have 1 GB of RAM are going to be impacted heavily. So, can we actually find a way around this? And that's actually one of the key components that we usually try to get our head around, because we want to support as many devices as possible. So we are happy to see, for instance, devices from 2014 still running the game at 60 FPS. And we want to keep that, because it means that if you have a really high-end device, you will run the game for longer, so your battery life will be better. So yeah, that's one of the key aspects, I think. But yeah, I think the guys can talk about it as well, how we see these things.
Yeah, performance is really a big concern of us. We don't simply want to make the game as pretty as possible without having to worry about what our players use for their devices. So whenever we make graphical changes, we always think of the players who have lower end devices that have a hard time running the game. And so if we push a graphical update and suddenly those players can't play the game because their FPS drops, well, it ruins their experience. So we gotta think about that.
Definitely, and like we were like they were saying, we do support as many devices as we can in our game, compared to I think a lot of different titles, FPS titles out there. So
Definitely.
that's something I'm very proud about.
Yeah, for sure. And usually that's some of the things that we get pushback, like from different areas of the development. So we have these crazy ideas and we have these, oh, we want to bring, I don't know, this awesome feature. And it's like, well, if you put that feature, it's going to require the game, I don't know, 3 gigabytes of RAM. It's like, oh, okay, can we get our hand around this? Or how can we actually solve it? And that's where let's say the teamwork outside the design team comes together, because then we bring our designs to them and then, okay, I have this idea, and then we actually go into the engine itself. It's like, okay, this is how I will do it. Well, it runs on the engine, but if you put it on the device, oh, look how bad it runs. Like, okay, and then we start going back and forth with the technical limitations, or let's say, I will not say limitation, but restrictions. And then, yeah, that where the creative solutions come from. Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah, quite often that's a factor that really, like, when we come up with a design that like works in our mind, it's really then the next step is to figure out blockers and all the different technical aspects that we like. Do we need to modify our original design ideas, and like because we are really trying to keep the game optimized for lower end as well, so that as many people as possible can experience the game exactly the same way and exactly at the same level that we are kind of expected at this point already. So yeah.
Yeah, and that's why it's very exciting to actually have you guys here, because I think it's this for you guys to be here. You guys can really explain how the game design works. I mean, it's not a matter of just pushing a button. It's it's just like, oh, fix this, please. It doesn't work like that. It's just there has to be a lot of thought put into how these how it would be, how this the processes will go, for it to actually happen in the game. So yeah, I guess let me finish up talking about 1.18, and then we'll just jump straight to game design. But I mean, the last few changes, there's some big, I guess you would say, large server side changes to the servers. And we posted on the website that it can either be good or bad, but we are taking steps, just like we just talked about. We're just pushing through and trying new things, to see how they will be, and we'll see the outcome after. But we fixed some bugs in the game, some login issues, and some party members not the emblems not displaying properly, and some of you guys have reported the mini map disappearing. That should also be resolved in 1.18. But now, game design. Let me go to the screen here. There we go.
All right. Yeah,
Okay.
sounds fun. Let's go for it.
Okay, so first one, game modes.
Sure, that's a passion of all of us. So yeah, let's jump in. Yeah, I mean, I can start with one of the how we see game modes and what are, let's say, a premise behind it. And I think all of us agree that game modes are really, really important, and we have seen benefits from the events, that we added game modes to the events, and we see how the engagement actually skyrockets when we have something like that. So Fire Steel is one example, but Sharpshooter or any other game mode that we pushed with the event is actually increases the engagement quite a bit. And that's what we're looking for. Like at the end of the day, we want you to have fun. And the best thing that we can do is create more game modes, and modes that have an impact beyond the event is one of the goals that we have. So yeah, let's jump right in. Yeah, who's first? Who's going to be the one to talk about?
I guess I can kind of pick up on the game modes. So basically, that's an interesting topic, because like as somebody coming new to the company, I've been really now been focusing on that area of the game right now, and there's been a lot of interesting walls and challenges that we have, being a game that's been running for so long as well. So in order to create something really new and interesting, we actually do have to work around a lot of our old design and issues that we've had in terms of like what's limiting us, and those kind of walls take a lot of time to break down. So basically, it requires us to come up with solutions that are modular and will carry us to the future as well. So we can't just keep looking at the short end of the stick. We actually do have to think about how are we going to use these tools in the next coming few years, for example, how the markets are going to be evolving. Like nobody really saw the explosive growth of battle royale games, for example, and what kind of new game modes and ideas are those bringing in from other games. So we have to be kind of really prepared to take on the market as well, to keep relevant and keep kind of innovating our own space as well, and bringing in stuff that our community likes to see. Like we see a lot of you guys are being really creative with the game modes and the tools we already give you in terms of like the room hosting, like all the different hide and seek and Simon Says and different game modes that you guys are coming up with. Those are really kind of driving us to create more interesting and new ideas. But the limiting factors for us are always a little bit bigger than just coming up with the idea. We do have to solve a lot of technical hurdles, optimization, visual aspect, like all the asset creations. Those are all things that can really derail our schedules and resources if, for example, we want to bring some kind of, like for example, the good example is the Fire and Steel event, which was a really interesting and bigger uptaking to create that game mode. But what it clearly shows us is that a lot of players are enjoying that effort that we put into it, and now hopefully we can push more interesting things to the same direction with the tools we created to make that game mode happen. So I think that's because the main thing that I wanted to share about related to the game mode stuff. So like we are really interested in the ideas that you guys are coming up with and taking it and seeing like how can we make this into something really working for everybody and not just a niche group. But yeah, maybe Igor want to share about something related to those as well.
Yeah, I can touch on the subject of fun, and that's what well, the game modes that you've seen lately, for example, Fire and Steel, are all about. We want to, push something different and unique away from the seriousness of critical ops. And the feedback that we got was tremendously positive. So we feel more confident in putting out game modes that are completely can be wacky and can be crazy. And all I can say is the next one will be very fun as well.
All right.
Can't say further. Sorry.
Yeah, I think this is really important, and it goes to show many of the challenges that we have, and you may not see it as a player. Critical Ops has been around for quite a while, and I think at the beginning nobody had that. Let's say, as an example, nobody thought about like, okay, can the coalition actually hold the bomb? Why? Like, it doesn't make any sense. Like, why do you have that? Like, doesn't make any sense. So that let's not put any support for that. But like all these years, then you can say, oh, maybe it makes sense because yeah, you can have like a hot potato type of thing. Like then you have to chase the one that has the bomb. But this is something that we have seen from the community itself. That's why we have this, for instance, Fire and Steel is a good example. It doesn't make sense to have a small map and then have even everybody fighting with swords. Yeah, in theory, it's nuts. But if when you made it and you see it and then you see the reaction, it's like, oh, we see, oh, this is actually the players are enjoying quite a bit. So this is something we can explore further. And when we think about positive feedback, we think about not only what players say, but also how they behave. So we see the participation rate. We see how players are actually, how many matches they are playing per day. So that's how we see feedback. Like, oh, they may see, oh, I don't like this, but then we see, okay, but how you can tell that all these players daily are playing like insanely amount of matches. So that's how we then see, okay, this is something worth investing. Okay, what are the technical problems that we have, and can we actually solve them to actually create more in the future? So yeah, that's how we roll in many of the updates that you see.
So essentially, the game modes can actually be some kind of like, I guess you would say, even like a testing ground, like for new. Basically, what you're saying is like anything new that we have. An example would be like, let's say Operation Warpaint, when we had the faction weapons. We had that as an introduction, and then now it's officially in the game. So that's very cool.
That's a good example of the kind of ways we can, as a team, utilize the events and the different, like a specific game mode to test a bigger idea that we're thinking of, for example, bringing into the game at some point, or just testing out the waters, like how do people react to it and all that. And it also comes down to what Kalle said, that like it also affects everything. These technical limitations and the technical solutions we have to come up with for them is also something that affects the prototyping speed that we can do. Like we have been improving that a lot, and we're looking forward to improving our own pipelines and making it even more effective to prototype fast and test fast internally, so we can actually also utilize our community for the like really early testing and get feedback directly from you guys, and then kind of keep pushing it to the bigger audience once we are confident that this will be something that the community will react really nicely and like it, and hopefully give us more new ideas also as well, to kind of see like, okay, let's push it to this direction and let's do this kind of wacky things for the events. And like we're really looking to utilize all of the tools right now that we have, because like for the past longer time the design team has expanded now really nicely, so we are able to do a lot more in terms of like exploring and looking into what the market is doing and what you guys are looking to have in the criticals, like what is critical ops to you guys as well, so we can push and test things. So that's why, and our Discord is really awesome for that, because people are super excitedly like putting out ideas, and every time we are asking about something, everyone is like contributing and giving us good ideas and giving us tough feedback when we ask something stupid. So that's always a fun part of everything.
Yeah, and again, this is really important for anyone that's tuning in right now. This is very important because all the suggestions that you guys are throwing at us for the past 2-3 years that I've been writing down, like these are the guys that will make it happen. Yeah, so
yes,
just so you guys know.
And yeah, and one thing that I think we will try to do, for instance, I'm reading the chat, and I think later today we can talk about things like trading. That's something that has been thrown around quite a bit, and
Ooh.
we can actually talk about it because we have a lot of thought process behind many of these requests. So if you don't see something in the game, it means there's something blocking from it. And it can be either a technical thing, or it can be either a problem, like a problem meaning, oh, we introduced this and it breaks everything. Like everything meaning the game itself. Like, oh, there's no point of having this system then it breaks that system. And then, oh, you actually are devaluating this. And all those things have to be taken into consideration when we ship a feature, like even the smallest one. For instance, the holsters, you think, oh, this is a tiny feature, right? You just put your weapon on your back. Oh, you have to consider what it's going to be when you reload, when you jump, when you, all that has to be taken into consideration, how the weapon is going to behave. What you just put it in your, I don't know, your leg. Oh, what happens when you crouch? Oh, so it's going to clip through the floor. So as you can see, this is just like tip of the iceberg, but from the player's perspective, it's going to be, oh yeah, of course it's going to the back and that's it. But there's a lot of pieces to that puzzle. So yeah, that's why I'm happy to talk about all those today. So yeah.
Cool. I mean, you guys are making it happen, so I can't wait for them to try it. Okay, cool. Okay, so the next thing, room owner. So that was kind of briefly, we just briefly kind of went through it because we will talk about it right now. So it's a huge thing. We talked about this actually. I think we first talked about it during when we were talking about official tournaments from Critical Ops and announcing the circuit. We talked about possibility to have room owners. So in a nutshell, basically having whoever hosts the game be able to have certain commands. And yeah, I guess you guys can take it away.
Sure. I think you guys want to talk about it from the developer perspective or from the player's perspective. We can cover both if we have time. But I think I can talk about the premise behind it. And one of the things we had in mind from the development team on creating this was to create tools for the community. We see things like Simon Says. This is not something we ever thought about. Like, what? Simon Says in Critical Ops? How? And for instance, hide and seek is another one that the community came up with. So one of the things we wanted to do was, okay, can we create tools for them to actually be more in control of the custom matches experience? And one of the reasons that we thought about it was like, okay, that's cool, but is there anything else that we can actually do for it? And the main question is can this serve not only that specific player base, can it serve more? And that's one of the key aspects when we pick up a feature. And one of the aspects of this, for instance, it also serves the competitive scene and tournaments. And those are in a clan, they want to practice. Now we're talking. Now we are actually touching upon multiple, let's say, segments of the whole player base. So this makes sense. Let's go for it. And then all the, let's say, the commands had a lot of thought process behind it on try to prevent exploiting. Like something like a restart a match is something that can be easily exploited. Like you jump in and then the match is restarting every single time. Okay, we need to have something to prevent that. So it's not only giving the room owner the capabilities to do it, but actually having others enjoy their experiences as well. So I think that was one of the key aspects of getting this feature out. And yeah, it's quite awesome to see it, and we are eager actually to see how this can actually impact the custom matches experience.
Yeah, and something to consider as well from the design perspective is also when we're thinking like, okay, let's just add all these different properties for the room for you guys to play and do stuff with. We also do need to consider the impact it's going to have in the bigger grand scheme of hosting rooms and all that, because for example, a simple thing like somebody might not want to join and play rooms where somebody is literally just controlling and kicking everyone, and like you join that and you get kicked out because you did something wrong. That's not the experience you're looking for. You're just looking to have fun. So that's why, for example, things like filtering based on the room property settings and that kind of thing come to play, and as well as like what kind of abilities we are giving to the room owner. So all those things are something we really take our time to consider in order to bring you guys the best tools and experience we can, because this with all the tools that we're giving you guys at the moment, that's actually something that we are ourselves already using to prototype and experiment with when we're creating and testing new things, because they are developed also for the development team in mind and for the whole team here. So we have an easier time, for example, so people who don't know how to code, like our artists can go and try things out themselves as well. So it's not just about making these tools accessible to the players, but also to the developers in terms of like we can test things out ourselves faster, and not everybody has to go bother a coder to get something tested and done. That's also a big part of why these kind of tools exist and why we are able to bring them to you guys now that they are polished enough, for example. So yeah, just something I wanted to touch on.
Yeah. Just to note, what we talked about before, that before when tournaments used to be hosted, everybody has to jump to spectator, or at least one side has to all jump to spectator and then jump back to the team in order for the game to restart. Now you have a chance to change that, and this will I can see it'll be great for our tournament organizers, and it'll be great for our influencers when they're hosting matches for their subs and followers. So this is very exciting for us.
Yeah, it is, and I think we are quite eager to see. So we provided the tools, and now it's time to see the community how creative can they actually deliver different style of game modes. So yeah, I think in my view, one of the key aspects of the room owner and all the changes that we're bringing is, as you can see, this serves like a big chunk of our player base. Like a lot of players actually will benefit from it. But if you're a casual player, you still have like quick games, and then you have your TDMs, and you have your quick diffuse. And that's one of the key aspects that I want to touch upon, that when you have like, oh, can you bring this feature? Yeah, how can we actually measure how the impact of this? Like we have this feature, okay, can we actually break it down and then put it to the test, and they can see, oh, this can actually impact all these players. So that's another key aspect outside of the technical limitations or technical restrictions or considerations. That's one of the first things we talk about. Like, okay, who's going to be the user for this? And then we start to break it down in terms of what's the premise, how we solve this, what are the issues, and yeah.
Yeah, like every feature starts with a question, and we're figuring out the solution, like to a problem that we're trying to like solve, a bigger picture thing, or how does the impact do? So yeah, that's
and it works as a nice segue to the design mindset. That's the whole idea. Yeah.
Yep, and I want to make a note that I actually had a long talk with you guys about this. So I was like, okay, so you have commands. So what will happen? Like, will people abuse it? What will happen when they make the commands? So like Kale was saying, that when you actually do a command in the room, it actually does show into the chat, so you can see that it has been done. So this is the thought process, like they talked about. So that people don't abuse it. And another thing to note is that before you join a room, from what I've understood, that you will be able to see that room has some special kind of commands, like let's say like the fun commands that we have. Is that correct?
Exactly. So yeah, that's the point. For instance, one of the early testing showed was, okay, when you execute a command, I need to see it as a player, because and you don't think about it as a feature, because it's like, oh, of course you can see it as a player, right? But you actually have to broadcast it. You have to see who made it, and you have to see what kind of command it is, and you have to think about localization and how this fits into different languages. And then you can see that the feature development starts to grow. So the scope started with just, well, let's just give let's give owners of the custom matches, let's say, the power to do this. Oh, but actually this starts to grow, and then the feature requires more testing, then requires more, let's say, QA process for us to then say, oh, actually there's a problem here, we need to fix it. And having
and
that
localization.
Yeah, of course. And that's what I wanted to convey in terms of many of these features have multiple legs that don't necessarily are evident as a player. So being able to see every command is cool, because then you, let's say you are in the opponent team or the enemy team, you can see, oh, this guy actually gave, I don't know, 200 health to this player, or this room owner that gave the AK to that player. That's something you can do with the command. So it's great that everybody's aware, and then it's going to be broadcasted. So yeah,
and that's something that comes down to as well to the mindset of like developing a new feature. It really sometimes feels kind of like a roller coaster. You're getting new features, you're pushing new ideas in there, and then you have to be like, okay, now I have to scope down everything because of this and this blocker and this limitation. And then it comes also like, okay, does this represent the values we want to bring as a design team and as a company and as a game to the players as well? So there are so many layers that affect what ends up being the final feature, that like when the development, it all pushes it longer, it all makes it more complicated, and like kind of our job is almost in a way to make sure that the train stays on track as much as possible in a way. So it's kind of like making sure that we have explored all of that before things go to production, and that way the production itself is as smooth as possible, and there's less changes because we have spent the time and effort to research and explore and find all of that all of those blockers. So I guess like to anyone interested in game design, that is kind of the main mindset that you need to kind of have in terms of like, you really want to solve problems, and you're really willing to kind of go the effort and go the distance to get to coders, get to artists, get to the marketing people, the business people, make sure everything is aligned. So when you're pushing that feature forward, that it represents also the bigger picture values, but also what you want to bring into the game. So there are multiple things that we kind of struggle with every day when we're pushing new features and new ideas, and just picking them up from you guys and the team here. And
and this is exactly a really great point. I will not expect anybody to point out, for instance, when you go to the scoreboard, you have a like indicator saying this is the room owner, right? So it has an icon, and you see, oh, this is a room owner, right? I will not expect anybody to point out as a feature, but you have to think about this tiny thing requires an icon. So you have to talk to somebody. Hey, can we make this? Oh, this icon doesn't make any sense. Let's change it because it has to be self-explanatory, right? So it's a tiny feature, but it has already multiple legs. So it's the tip of the iceberg and what you see as a player. So one of the things we want to do is to make it self-explanatory as possible. You don't have to think about this. We have to think about this, and we have to be worried about this. So you as a player just enjoy the game and just, oh, room owner, fine, awesome.
So every time somebody is like, yeah, that icon is too small, or that should be like that, it kind of like, we're like, yeah, we were thinking about it, and it's kind of like we think about it a lot more than you guys might think that we do. So but yeah, I think something that I just wanted to give Igor a chance to pitch into this one, because Igor was doing some other stuff in the company, and now he's part of the design team and getting into this mindset. So I guess you have the most fresh set of like eyes in terms of like what this all entails, like coming up with the features and trying to push them forward, and like literally going through the whole creating your first kind of design pitch ideas and all that to see if they make it into the game. And like, what kind of things do you have to share with some people who might be interested in game design?
Yeah, as I told earlier, I was in QA for the past 3 years, and just recently switched to design. And I've been, well, since then, designing a lot of, bunch of ideas. And the difference of mindset is that I started thinking so broadly, as in, okay, how will this affect our game now, and how will this affect our game later? What problems will it bring now, and what problems will it bring later? And can it be expanded upon later, or can it not? And it was definitely like a big change of thought from QA, because from QA I just say, hey, this here breaks, this doesn't work, please fix it. But here, like when in design, I know things will break because things can really get out of hand really quickly. And like Kalle and Jonas said, the scope might just be way too large for us to handle, and then we have to scope it down. And as designers, we have great ideas. We just go wild. Our minds go wild everywhere. And for example, there have been some ideas in the chat, and I've actually like smiled and said, yeah, we've thought of that. We would like to do that, but it's not that simple. We got to think of resources, like, are people willing to do this? Can they do this? How long would it take? Would it block anything else? Would one feature, be blocked at the cost of another? And then we also got to think about, blocks along the way. What if, the developer gets sick? Then if he's the only one working on that, then we can't go on. We can't move. And then, of course, there's, the bugs, the glitches, the crashes, that it will inevitably come, and it will break the game, well, for you guys. And it may make also a feature, impossible to do. So yes, definitely a big mindset changer.
Yeah, and one thing that I would like to point out in terms of how we see things internally is when we have these ideas, we crafted all the steps and we craft all the solutions and we pursue it among ourselves. We try to break it down. Like, okay, how can we poke holes on this? Or, oh, there's no holes. This is quite solid. And once we have something somewhat solid, we share that with the entire company. And the company can just jump in and say, well, I have this concern. And it's like, oh, I thought about that. I will add it to the design. And if somebody comes, hey, I had an idea and I actually have a prototype tiny that you're mentioning. And, oh, I can bring that to this. So we are basically pulling everybody to this idea, and then we can combine to let's say a Frankenstein type of feature. So then all that comes into play with, okay, do we have the game stable enough? Do we have some technical things that we want to do? And as an example, you see in the latest beta in 18, you can see that there's service changes. Like there's a lot of infrastructure and things that you don't see as a player. But that is entail on, okay, will either go great or not, because there's a big change. So only way for us to see it is when we see it live. And that's something we usually see as well with the features that we design. Once we see it at scale, that changes things. Like when you talk about a couple of thousands of players, it's a thing, but when you talk about millions of players, that's an entirely different thing. So those are the kinds of things that you have to think about all the time. And from us as game developers, we have to think about it from the beginning. Like, okay, how's this going to play out when you scale this feature? And how this is going to impact all the features that we have in the pipeline. So, yeah.
Yeah, like the good example of this is exactly what Kalle just mentioned. A feature, like something we introduced in the latest update for you guys. Now we have to create a lot of server fixes and changes to make sure those bigger things don't happen again, hopefully in the future. And that pushes our pipelines and timelines into chaos, because now the features that we were working on, we have to stop working on them to get these fixes out as fast as possible. So always optimizing for that live ops type of mindset and trying to bring features in that hopefully don't break in the future when like we push it out and then get to the scale that we have. So that's all something that kind of affects what we can bring and how fast we can bring new things. So we have to kind of always be in our own limitations to kind of push new things as well. So we're trying to we're getting better at it all the time, but like it's a constant learning process for us here. And that's something that like we really have to keep improving ourselves on. And I think we're doing pretty good job at the moment as being a new person in the company. So
you guys are doing great, to be honest. It's like Like I love the conversations that we have, and I'm always like throwing ideas at you guys because I try to be up to date with the playing ranked and playing the game. So I'm always throwing ideas at you guys. But what's really cool is that you guys seem to think outside the box. Like how I was saying, it's not just like we can't do this because it's not possible. It's like maybe it is possible.
Yeah,
Let's
most of the time it's like we
Yeah.
literally take it like as a challenge almost.
Yes.
Like, let's see if it's possible.
Yeah,
Let's do
let's
it.
see.
Let's do it internally. Does it
Yeah.
make any sense? And then we're like, yeah, maybe this thing was better as an idea than it was an actual. But that's
Right.
that's already the thing. Like we committed to something, and if we are not using it, that's the hard like really dilemma. Like what do we do?
Yeah, and this is really, really important, and this goes with the exploring features, because the mindset that we have is, okay, let's try to make it possible, and that's the whole point behind the design. How can we make it possible? The design itself is just us illustrating how this is going to play out. So we lay out the foundation of, okay, this is the plan, this is how it's going to look like, this is how the UI can look like, this is how it's going to impact text. So we have to touch a bunch of parts of the development process. But I think I would like to touch on one specific feature, for instance, so you can see how this plays out. So one thing that we talked about before was the incendiary grenade, or the Molotov, right? That's something that has been requested quite a while. Like, why don't you bring this? A lot, right? And there are tons of considerations to think about. So I would like to touch upon design considerations first. In one of the examples that I think illustrates the problem is, imagine Raid, right? Raid on B side. Raid is an awesome map, and it's one of the favorites in the community. So imagine Raid on B side, right? And if you have a Molotov, like 3 of your teammates have it, and then you just throw it on B, it's a box, right? And you're done. There's no point of actually having guns anymore. Like, just throw Molotovs, and if you have Molotov, you will win. That's something we have to think about. We have to actually consider that. So this is not something you can escape, because it's damage over time. So you have to work around all these aspects. So if you put it in and it's too nerfed, it's like, oh, it's a Molotov, but it's just a crack it. This doesn't make any sense, right? So yeah.
Yeah, and that's something that, because of that kind of impact that simple thing can have, like, okay, let's say there's a box and now everyone can kill everyone in it instantly. Now we consider things through the competitive eyes most of the time. So that's like a big, horrible no-no in most of our minds already. But then the question becomes like, okay, could this thing be something that we bring and introduce as part of a new fun game mode, for example, or something else that we can kind of test it, give it time to incubate, see how it would work. And that's something that can help us kind of push down those concerns that we had for it. And it really depends on how the community reacts to that kind of features and things. But yeah, it's a lot of work to figure out just a simple thing like, okay, how do we limit the destructive ability of this feature in terms of like, okay, it breaks our whole core mechanic. That's usually a big, the closer to the core we go, the more we have to think about it and really look into like, can we actually even push this out in any kind of form? Because it's always hard to, when you put something out, you can't really take it away that easily. So that's something that like we have to be careful about, these kind of changes. And it comes down to everything, like even balance changes that we introduced with the faction weapon stuff. That's something that we're constantly looking at, measuring, working on, trying to figure out, do we need to tweak something? How does like the simple facts that we introduced now, will those affect? But we see those impacts usually much later than what players do. Players experience them much faster than what we can say that, okay, this was the intended or not intended result. And it might take months for us to see the actual scale, the results on scale that we know. Like, it's easy to go and ask a couple hundred people on Discord, or even get a couple thousand people to like kind of gather the idea, like, does this work? But in the grand scheme of like competitive versus casual and scale, that's something that we have to be sure that when we do it, it really does affect like equally to everyone, not just like only the small percentage that gets the benefit and then the rest will suffer. So those are something that we have to constantly think about.
This really reminds me of what you guys were talking about earlier. Like, can the device handle it? Right? If you think about now, you introduce Molotov, then you have 10 players that all have maybe they all bought Molotov, so there's just fire everywhere, and
Yes.
Yeah, it's a big problem, right? So even if we manage to get around the technology and we bring some magic to it, right? And then even a 2014 that runs at 60 FPS can run it. There's the implications of how this impacts all our map design, how this impacts the economy of the game, how this actually plays in the match. So that simple utility becomes like it disrupts the whole thing. Like it breaks a bunch of things. So one of the things that we can chat about is, for instance, we have a new type of grenade on fire steel, right? But that also has implications on how we develop that feature, because we have to it explodes on impact, so it has impact on the server side and how we actually can work around that. So there's a lot of nuances to each of these features that we have to take into consideration. So yeah,
definitely. Well, is there any? I mean, since we're talking about features, is there any type of coming up features that we can kind of share to everyone?
Ooh.
That's always a touchy subject.
Yeah, I can chat.
To get fired.
Yeah. No, I can chat about why we don't talk about that much on it. Is so the features change to the development, right? So we may talk about it today, and we think about in certain like aspects, but maybe in a week from now we have a breakthrough, and then it changes the feature, and then we notice that this impacts something else, right? It changes the feature itself, and then something that we talked about today, it looks different 2 weeks from now. And it's like, what? Why is this different? Like, you talked about this during the live stream, and now you're saying this is something else. Because we figure out there is an impact in some place that you may not be aware of that changes the feature, and then that's one of the reasons that we don't have that like out loud, because we can plan all this, we can put there all the, say, our design process, and one thing that we can say is that we explore these features. We actually go in and try to iterate on it, and we have a plan for it, and then we see, oh, this is a big concern, like this is a huge risk. If we put it out, is a big problem. So maybe we can lower the priority, and we can pick something that is not only is going to have a great impact, but also has no risk. So you can tell how we prioritize from it. So
I'm kind of curious if everybody in the chat can kind of put if they would like to kind of see some things that we're exploring. I mean, not right now per se, but like maybe in future streams we can kind of like say, hey, we're thinking about this, or stuff like that. Maybe just to be able to see, because I'm kind of curious of what the community thinks. I mean, for me, it's just every single thing I see that comes out, or even if it's just an idea, I'm just like, dude, that's so cool. Like, it'll be so cool to have it.
Like something that I think would be interesting also, like, what do you guys think we're doing, but also considering it from differently, like the features that we're currently developing are way different from the things that we, the design team, are exploring and looking into. Like, we have a lot of things on the plate that you guys will probably never even guess that we are exploring. That's the interesting thing. Like, we would love to share all of that, but it's kind of like it just creates a lot of confusion and things, because people many times don't understand that things that we're developing and things that we're exploring and just simply researching are way different, and the impact of what they are, like, we're constantly doing exploration and research for things, but the development is almost its own separate thing from everything else. Those are things that we explored, and they got to that stage where we were confident enough to actually push them into our product pipeline and put resources on them, put coders and artists, and like actually spend the time and money and effort to make it happen. So that's really the difference in mindset in terms of like design, that you have to consider that exploring is a big part of bringing those features alive. And any, like I've seen a lot of ideas here, like suggestions here, like, hey, fix matchmaking. That's, we're constantly exploring things that you guys are bringing up about it and seeing and measuring what is the impact of things and that. But like, it's not as simple as like, yeah, just fix matchmaking. You do also need to tell us what you think is wrong with the matchmaking for us to actually start digging deep into that aspect of that part of the game. So those are something that we wish also that the community would be more like, hey, this is exactly what I think is wrong with it, and here's why. And go tell us deeply. We love to read those comments and see like how close did you get to those issues, and then we can pick it up from you and be like, okay, let's dig deep as a team. Let's actually see, is this a bigger scale issue? Because that's something you need to consider as well. Is it a problem that affects only a few people, or is it a really massive scale issue that we just have completely, for example, overlooked? So those are the things that we are constantly looking into. And yeah, I don't know, Kala and Igor, do you feel like want to share any explorations that we could give?
Yeah, I think this is a good topic. For instance, in matchmaking is really something we can, let's say, scout a little bit, and we can talk about many of the implications that you see. For instance, in ranked, one of the things that you can see from this season is you can actually de-rank quite fast from the higher ranks, right? But there's a reason behind it, right? One of the aspects is that you see people boosting others, right? That's something that happens. And you can either block that, and then one of the unintended consequences is that queue times is going to be increased quite heavily. So you have queue times increase, and then we have to move you to another server because, yeah, that's how we can actually put you in a match faster. And then, well, why you're putting me in a different server? Well, that's where the match is, so I'm trying to cut down on the queue time, trying to fix matchmaking. But notice that we are trading a problem with another problem. So one of the things that we did with the season, the latest season on ranked was like, okay, you get boosted, but you're gonna drop fast, like a hot potato. You're gonna drop because this is not the correct rank for you to be in. And you can then tell that the system itself starts to act on the ranked as well. So that's a solution for now, but you can tell where the problems are. You can tell that, okay, this impacts other things, and it's not as simple as just fix that X. So yeah.
Yep, and definitely just to kind of before I know a lot of you guys are patiently kind of waiting for giveaways. I just want to make sure that you guys know giveaways are coming right after we talk about the subject, and it'll be very soon. I think it's just we have to really share this important information. What they were saying earlier. Give us more information too when you get feedback. Don't just say this doesn't work, this sucks. Say why does it suck? Why does this work? The more information you give us, the better. So I guess it kind of goes back to like the last subject that we're talking about, priorities and thought process. Like we get so much feedback from everyone, from the stream, from competitive. What is what do we put in the game first? Like we really have to think about that. Because I mean, it's just there's only so much resources that we have, and there's only so much things that we can do at a time.
Yep. Absolutely, yes. And that's one of the key aspects that then brings us to, okay, well, this sucks because of this, or this is awesome, and when you bring something like this to the game, and then we have to think about the implications, and then from it you see the future. And you don't have to think about all the other problems that we might face. So yeah, as you can see, we are really active on many parts of the community on Discord. I think is the best way to get a hold of us. We see the interactions there every single day, and we read your comments, and we read the reviews, and we read Twitter, and we read Reddit. So we are active because we want to see how you feel about the game. We know how we see it from the developer perspective, but we want to see how you see the work that we're doing. So, yeah.
Yeah, I've seen that's something like we've seen so many posts and things, and the fact that like we have to be kind of the people behind the scenes looking at them most of the time and not always be able to react to them and give you direct answers and feedbacks on many of those. Like a simple fact that us clicking a like will be misunderstood sometimes by, oh, that thing is coming into the game, or they are doing it, or it blows up every time. So we have to really be like, we have to limit our own enthusiasm. Like it's usually like when we are really liking a feature that we want to push for you guys, it's like we try to get the whole team involved and excited for it, and then everyone is pumped doing the features, but we can't talk about it. So it's like it's really kind of horrible feeling almost.
Yeah,
Definitely.
yeah.
So, in summary, kind of like for anybody that's just joining us, you know, what we're saying is that with game designs, we're constantly, you know, we're constantly looking at the feedback from the community, from either you're from casual, either you're from competitive. You know, I'm here. I'm gathering all your ideas, and I'm just throwing them over every single day to our team. Now it's really about, we have to think about what should we put next, and what's the best thing that we should put next that would complement the game, like how like what would be best to be put in the game. And another thing to note about things that's added to the game is that it's, like we said before, it's not just a push of a button. There is a lot of processes to it that there's so much you have to think about. And I'm glad to be able to, you know, interact and tell them all, these guys, all the ideas that you guys have, and if anybody can make it happen, I think they will be able to definitely make it happen for you guys. So, all right, so
That's great.
I think that was a really good, really in-depth talk about the game design. And in case you missed the beginning of it, go back and watch the VOD. And I think it's definitely something. It's very interesting to me. I mean, I'm not a game designer. I'm kind of like in as if Igor's past when he was the QA. I'm the guy that's just playing the game, and I have all these different ideas. But it's just very refreshing, and again, I'm very honored to be able to work with these guys. But let's right now, before we jump into Q&A, let's do a quick giveaway. Just go ahead and put your IGN, exactly how it's spelled in game, into the chat, and let's say all of us pick like 3 per person, and everyone that we pick will get one fantasy case, the Deagles and Dragons fantasy case. So if you guys would mind, if you could just put it into our chat that we have, be great. So don't put IGN again. Don't put IGN. Don't put dashes. Nothing. Just put exactly how it's spelled. And last thing to note is that please give us time to send these, because we're on stream right now. We can't send them right away. Give it a day or two for the cases to be sent. Okay, you guys just go ahead. Just pick 3 names each. Whoever's ready, just go ahead. And maybe lucky. Some people will be lucky. Okay, I think I have 3, so I'll go first. So the first winner is dash underscore dash Nevada dash underscore dash, and next person is S space G, and then the third person would be SRM underscore. Okay. Any of you guys?
Yeah, I have 3 as well. The first one will be is SRM underscore. Will be my first.
So like I said, he's lucky.
Yeah, it's lucky. I don't know. That's the first one that I had.
Yeah.
The second one is Eki, which is ECCHI. And the third one will be WYRED. So wired, I think.
Yeah.
And
So
my picks as well. Well, you can go first, Jonas.
yeah. So for me, I picked out there was Ducklet, and then another one that managed to spam a few times, caught my eye, was Skillex. And from Twitch side chat, I picked Slater.
Cool. Congratulations.
Yeah, Igor, you can go now.
Yeah.
So my first pick is Pixie Dash. The second is Control space F. And the third one is Argunsta.
All right, congratulations to all the winners right now. We'll do a Q&A, and then we'll jump into a game, and then right after we'll do another giveaway, and we'll see how much time we have left after that. But yes, right now we'll have our Q&A, like we do every community stream, and you guys can stop putting your IGNs in chat because you would just. Well, I mean, if you guys are still kind of working out, you can do that if you want. But it's not going to really do anything because we are now looking for questions, maybe some suggestions that you may have. And again, these are the guys that you would want to put your suggestions and questions to regarding anything about the game. So, questions in
Right
the
now
chat.
is the best time. Yeah, you have all of us. You have all
Yes.
of our attention, so we can talk about. I'm checking the chat and see what's popping. And let me see.
Too fast.
Yeah,
Someone says,
there are
what do you think?
a lot of questions.
What do you
I'm
think
trying
about
to
the
get
music selection system where you can choose any music from any event?
I mean, exploring like just having more themes in the game is a nice idea, definitely.
Yeah, I hope everyone's been liking the latest event musics. Like we've been kind of putting a lot more effort into getting those like really cool and nice to listen to. So like the whole team is kind of like getting the early and we're listening to them and like trying to be like, oh, that should be different, and we're trying to always like push them to be more interesting and better. So that's an interesting idea.
I mean, since you guys are here, I think we need to have our own Critical Ops theme.
Yeah, it has been put out there. Definitely, we would like that too.
Like we
sure.
need to have that so that when we have esports events and we can play that song, and people will be that's our song. This is what we're here for. So, yeah.
Yeah, it sounds like a nice idea. Yeah, for sure. Well, let's check another question. So we have. Yeah, don't spam the same question so we can actually see multiple. Yeah, we are reading all of them. Yeah. And we can check here. So
Well, I will pick this one, but
Sure.
because it has come up in the past before, and we ourselves have discussed it, which is skin trading.
Yeah, I've noticed it a few times in the
Yes.
games.
So we thought about it naturally, but the thing is, this feature is a very touchy, not development wise, but let's say market wise. It's very touchy because it can grow third party markets that we cannot control, and they basically make illegitimate profits out of our game, which we do not want. And it can be basically exploited. Of course, yeah. I mean, trading skins with other players, like you have a duplicate skin, and okay, I want to trade you this skin for that skin that you got. Yeah, it sounds nice, like on theory and on paper, but it can create a lot of legal problems all around,
Yeah.
which is a
So
handle.
exactly. So that's one of the first concern, right? You can tell that there are other games that have that, but the ones that you probably are thinking about are the ones that own the store. So imagine if we own the stores, right? Yeah, we can take responsibility of what happens with the trading. We can track that, right? But in this case, we have to be aware of what happens if you have uh, imagine the security we have to be like how much we have to deal with this. So right now the way that we distribute content is through a secure line, right? To actually make this happen, we have to think about how this impacts the game moving forward. Like if you think about cases right now, imagine that we thought about it in a way that, okay, you eventually get what you're looking for. That's why you have blue tokens there. You have, the tokens are a way for us to say, hey, you know what? The lock is part of the distribution. But if you have enough blue tokens, or you have tokens, you can actually get that skin that you can see on your loadout, right? So the mindset behind that system was to, okay, you have a way to get it. You may not have it right away, but eventually you can. And that's also solves the problem of duplicates. So we have that system in place to solve the duplicate problem, right? On the trading system, there's no blue tokens. We have to get rid of it. Like you have to kill that system because it's there in order for us to give you that. So that impacts cases directly. Like, okay, you may not have anything. So we have to think about, okay, once you trade this item can be traded like unlimited times. So it's going to be floating around the market like forever, or does it have different properties? So imagine if we have that, this is us thinking in the future, right? Imagine then we have items that have limited trading, and then you trade it once, and then you have a few traders left, but notice that the system starts, in order to solve all these issues, starts to grow to an insane amount. But the initial concerns remain. How can we get around these problems? And there are a lot more issues that it will take the whole stream on how we can actually address those. So it's not there for a reason, and we have been thinking about it, and we have the signs for it, and that we have ways. Okay, if we do it, this is how we will do it. But then the concerns comes back to us, like, okay, can you solve this? And we poke holes on that. And you as a player might think, oh, it would be great that I hop to the marketplace and then I get that skin. Okay, cool. But then have you thought about where the skin is coming from? So imagine then that breaks the system that is feeding the market, and then you don't have skins. Like, oh, I'm not trading the skin because it's too valuable. Then you have a skin that is super valuable that then it starts to grow to an insane price. So how this, I don't know, as an example, imagine how we respond if we see, I don't know, a knife costing like an auction, because it's an auction, right? Costing like insane amount. Should we have caps? Should we have control of that? Should we not have those prices come into play? Yeah. So notice that this goes, it goes and goes, and then you pull this and we are going deep into the rabbit hole. So yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly like what Kalle Colin mentioned, and I think one question I've noticed multiple times, I guess for me it's related to game modes always when I see those. So, like people be asking, will you bring back Manhunt because it was a fun game mode and that. So basically, yeah, we are thinking about all different game modes and we are testing, and especially now that we have the design team has more power in it, we are really focusing on prototyping new and interesting game modes for you guys. So we are taking inspiration from a lot of different great game modes all over the gaming hemisphere, but basically the event schedule is something that we've been kind of looking into, like tweaking and improving as well. So hopefully all the new game modes that we're going to be introducing, you guys are going to love them and give us the feedback that which you like, and we will be following the metrics as well. So when we see something that we think like, oh, now we hit the nail in the head, then we're going to start like maybe hopefully introducing as a bigger part of the game. So you see the idea of like introducing something as part of the event or as a game mode separate thing to then maybe introduce to the bigger picture of everything. So yeah, that's something we're always looking into and exploring.
All right, I basically I've been reading the chat, and I wrote down like the most asked or suggested
Give them
things.
to us.
Yes. Okay. First thing, custom crosshair. Go ahead.
Definitely.
Yeah, it's something we have been considering, but again, it has gameplay impact, and there's a content opportunity behind it. Well, when we can have it, and how we can then push it. Should we push it as a just custom thing that you go into the settings, or we can actually make something cool out of it that you can actually look forward to? Because in the customization, it's not. So imagine, for instance, custom crosshairs also mean, imagine if I would love to have a red dot, right, as my aim. Well, that's actually not a crosshair. That's a scope. So should we think about it? So it impacts multiple things. But yeah, that's something that's really interesting, and yeah, we're looking into it. Yeah.
Yeah, and as well the like in terms of the feature development, like how big of a feature it will, like how much customization do we want to allow? Is it like literally picking a few different options, or is it that you create your own custom thing? Does it have visual aspects in it? Like, does it affect the game characters, the weapons, what kind of things? So there are a lot of things to consider in terms of like that a simple thing like, hey, just custom crosshairs, but there are so many things and the gameplay effects it will have, because that's a feature that most new players will probably not touch for a while, and the pros will be even better and more accurate. So that creates a huge amount of imbalance already by design almost. So that's an issue that we will then be like, okay, now our low new players who come into the game and our top end are way more far apart. And a lot of games, that is the key to competitiveness. Like, how do you get from the new player to the professional level to compete at there? And the journey, if that's too hard, we're already kind of making things hard for the new players as it is by being a competitive game. But then if we make it even harder, that will push away players. Less players means less competitive players at the top end as well. So it will start roll balling in terms of like the players will start leaving the game and all that kind of thing. So we have to consider all of that when we're developing a feature, just as simple as custom crosshairs. So yeah.
Okay. Awesome. And okay, people are saying more rewards. We would love more rewards.
Yeah, it depends on what you mean, but more rewards. But yeah, that's something it's something we are thinking about, and I think we have good solutions for it. And the way that we see it is we have the critical pass, right? And the critical pass, I think, is a transparent way of delivering rewards, and I think all the passes that we have had have great value to it. But I think they mean something that they look for each day. Like, okay, I'm going to work for this today for this goal, and then I have a reward for it. And yeah, there has been different types of rewards. Like at the end of the season, we can have rewards, or at the end of an event. So there are many ways that we can do it, but we want to make it in a way that also serves multiple players, so not just a small segment. So it's something that we are thinking about, and for sure we will have more on that soon.
Awesome. Voice chat / quick chat.
Huge challenge in terms of like technical related things as well. So a feature like that, which is not really that visual, but it's really on the server and technical side of things. So yeah, we're always exploring things that will bring the game more social value as well to make it easier. But then there are other aspects that we need to consider, like the potential for toxic players to become even more toxic and spew it out to the rest of the player base. So there are a lot of things that we do have to look into, even just simply like what do we allow and what do we not allow with the feature like that. Yeah, I guess Kalle can expand on that.
Yeah, so we understand why players are requesting voice chat. Is a way for them to communicate more effectively during the match, right? But that also impacts bandwidth. So yeah, if you have that on your matches, that it's going to impact that. Can we actually work around it? One thing that I've always come back to is that quick chat works if it has context. It doesn't have too much sense. If you see an enemy and you have that quick chat that says enemy spotted, if you're dead, and you have to tap and then tap and then tap to see enemy spotted. Yeah, but where? Okay, enemy spotted, but it's coming from long. Okay, so long should be the quick way for you to say. So it's context. In that sense, the system has to work around it. It's not just having just quick commands there that you have, because the context is going to be missing. So we have a feature that nobody uses. We have to deliver that in order to solve the problem. And I think we have cool ideas on how we can do that, but that's something that still we have to think about and how we can actually put it out. One thing that I will say that I like about quick chat or quick messages, if you manage to do it correctly, is that it can break barriers in terms of people that have, like, I don't know, if you speak a different language, you can talk about it like, okay, long, but then in the different language you see in their language. So that's something that can bring the community together, even if they don't speak the same language. So it can be even more powerful than voice chat. So yeah.
Nice.
And especially saying like to that we are exploring a lot of interesting ways to communicate in the game. Like we're really trying to always look the best ideas and opportunities to push mobile in-game while you're doing the actions to communicate with other players as well. So we have a lot of interesting explorations done into that area, and some designs are good, some designs are bad, but we are always looking into those. And I think, yeah, what are you going, if you had more questions for us?
Oh no, I'm just trying to, because there's so much. Like, I think they're really taking this opportunity to ask you guys questions. So I'm trying
something I noticed popping up a lot is, I guess this is more directed to Kalle, since in our team Kalle is the one who's more focused on this currently, at least by working on it, is critical pass, 30 tiers, more is the question.
Oh yeah, we can talk about it. And so there are many aspects of the critical path that we have been measuring over time, and we see the impact of each season and the rewards of each season. So when you think about the rewards that we have, you have to consider that we know how the previous passes perform. So keep that in mind. A lot of people think, oh, can't you just put a knife on every single pass? That will have a problem in the end. So it will introduce more issues. But we also had it in previous seasons, so we know how that actually impacts the game. On longer rewards, you can also have the problem of, well, it will take longer for us to develop those. So it will Intel have unintended consequences of having those longer passes. So it's always a balance between how can we deliver you great content and a great value proposition. So I think that's where the real question starts.
As something that, to a little bit expand on the critical path tier amount idea, is that we are looking into actively all the time in terms of bringing you guys more ways to do progression based things. We know that that's an area that critical pass has become a thing that people are waiting for, as something to grind, as something to progress, something that you can get while you're playing and things. So we are always looking into exploring new interesting ways to introduce progression based things to the game, and there's been a lot of exploration done over the years as well to this, but some of the designs, they just haven't, for example, carried all the way to the scales and the different things that we want them to be. So, and the question becomes also, we need to be able to track a lot of the ways that you guys are progressing, what is happening, too fast, too slow. So the balancing of, does it take too long for you to get the rewards? Is it rewarding for you to play if you have to grind 2 days for something instead of a few hours? So those are all things that we have to consider, and we're always looking into like, how can we bring a better progression system and idea for you guys to explore and really keep your daily grind going and having you engaged and interested all the time for it. So not just that it's a quick reward that you get when you do something. We want it to be more impactful and more meaningful, because we do consider our gameplay to be a big asset of the game. So we want people to enjoy that aspect as well, not just be in there for the quick reward that you get by tapping something. So that's something that we're always looking into and exploring and focusing on as well.
Nice. All right.
All right.
So some more other ones. Character customizations.
Yeah, I think, well, we talked about it in the beginning, and there are a lot of impact regarding gameplay that we have to consider in terms of, so we have to bring all those textures to the match, right? Let's say you have full character customization. Yeah, all that models and all that custom thing has to come to the gameplay as well. So yeah, there are many aspects of it. That's something we are definitely interested in developing, and we have a lot of ideas behind it, and it's something that we believe have a lot of potential. And yeah, but you can tell where our mindset is behind any feature.
Cool. Just let me try to go quickly through some of these. Some people ask about, will there be new weapons? Will there be different things like attachments or, things that you attach to your gun? I think it could be like yeah.
Yeah, we're always looking and exploring, and I guess a teaser, we could say that as a first task, the new guy had to start thinking about weapons right away. So it was a real big, interesting challenge for Igor to go. I think if you want to share some quick things, not to give out too much.
And just like we said, when we're talking about the design mindset and exploring features, like most of what we've seen in the chat, we've thought about it, as in we put the idea on the table and try to come up with a solution. But the problem is, okay, how will we carry this? But yes, there are a lot of big ideas on the table. Sadly, we cannot be concrete about it, or say that we're going to make it. Otherwise, okay, design is always an ever-changing process. What we say now, in a few months, it might not happen or change completely. So that's why we can't be concrete or clear about what we say.
You could say that in a way, look at the history of updates and things we're introducing. If you're interested in figuring out our mindset and where our minds are, because we are always looking into the future, like how does this game look in the next year or two, for example. So the faction weapons is something that will hopefully allow us to explore a lot more ideas in terms of like new weapons, new things like the grenades that we introduced with the fantasy event game mode, and explore those ideas further. So we're always trying to go further and further with the game, and of course reacting to the marketplace as well. We need to be really look into like what are the other guys doing and what is getting popular and getting traction in the market. So because it's always an ever-changing thing.
Okay, so we don't have that much more time left, so let's talk about two. I have two more things that I kind of just brought up. We can talk about that. We can get into at least one game of one viewer game, and then we can do one last giveaway before we end the stream. So two more things. One thing is I guess they were mentioning. Have you guys thought about utility wise? First off, is will you be able to have, like, let's say, carry more utility? Let's say 2 flashbangs, for example. Have you thought about, let's say, instead of throwing the grenade, you maybe you lob the grenade? You know, just like instead of, the reload button maybe can be used to lob the grenade instead of just throwing it with the fire button. And the last thing regarding to utility would be maybe something like, let's say you do have the grenade or flashbang on you, but when you die, it drops so that other people can pick it up.
Yeah, that's pretty valid suggestion, and it makes sense. Like if you have grenades on you, okay, why don't they drop when you die? Well, at the moment, I don't know the reason behind it, but I will put my bet that it's on code. There might be a reason behind it that we will have to find out why that is. As for the lobbing grenades, yes, it sounds like a good idea. I mean, we can reutilize the reload button like it was suggested for lobbing grenades. And for having more than one utility, let's say 2 flashbangs, as well, you probably didn't notice, but the Fire and Steel added the support for multiple utilities. So in the game mode, you actually have 8 grenades. So now you actually have the support to experiment with more utilities. So that can be one thing we can experiment with. But then again, we also got to think, okay, 2 flashbangs, for example. Let's take that as an example.
Yeah, that's 10 unranked.
Yes, how would this
20 if everybody has it.
So let's say 5 players with 2 flashbangs. That's 10 flashbangs. So per player, and now you put the other team there, so that's 20.
It just multiplies the issue.
So imagine.
And then you need to consider that it's not just the flashbangs. What about smokes or actual nades? So that's like, goodbye gunplay almost in a way.
Yeah, so exactly. So notice that a simple thing as an additional flashbang or an additional grenade, it can be the case that you have an area of the map fully smoked the whole match. And is that something you will enjoy? Maybe, but that's something that is a problem, right? Because let's say that's part of the strategy. Let's think about it outside the box. But that's something that it can happen. So I can imagine the frustration, like you have 20 flashbangs and you spend the whole match with a wide screen. That's a big problem. Yeah, and it can happen, and it can happen from the early. As a new player, it will be problematic. Let's say, and as an experienced player, it will be even more problematic. So
For example, right now the flashbang, you gotta think cleverly on how to use it. So players will be more methodical on their utilities. Okay, do I throw it there? Do I not? So there's a thinking game. If we add 2, they're going to be more lenient with it. I'll just throw one there. My teammate will throw one there, and then I'll throw one behind, and everybody's flashed, nobody can see anything, and that's not fun for anybody.
Yeah. So really have to think about the it's not that simple, guys. It's not just like, let's add this in with a
And,
push a button, like we said.
Yeah, I just, as a last thing, for example, the Molotov. Okay, if the Molotov is countered with the smoke, can you imagine, like, you throw the entire team throws Molotovs in different directions, and then the opponent team throws smokes in every direction. So let's say an whole area, an whole bomb site is just smoked for like 10 seconds, and nobody sees anything in the bomb site. So you're just waiting for the smokes to dissipate, which is, boring.
Yeah. Yeah, and
But all
it
these
yeah,
ideas are like
exactly.
something that comes down to, we can push it out as a game mode and test it with an event and have fun with it, kind of with you guys as well. But we do have to kind of explore them a lot before we even let like that thing get out, because then
Yeah,
it's something that we're expected to bring.
for
Everyone is
sure.
like, oh, bring it to the whole game.
Yeah, and I think that's part of the process. If you look at Fire and Steel, we had to tinker around how the damage works. Like, okay, if it is the blast is too big, then everybody's going to be dead all the time because everybody has too many, and it's not going to be fun. So we had to balance that damage and how we had to balance how that works. So something as the Molotov or incendiary grenade, we have to think about the implications of it. Like, we have to think about how that's going to impact the gameplay. And I think it's an interesting utility, but as we said on the flash, if you have 2 flashes, that's 20 that can be available at any point in any round. So it makes the game either too, let's say, not enjoyable or too difficult to actually get your head around. And it might be, it will be cool if you have it, but see how can that become a living hell quite easily. So as a player. So.
Nice. Cool. One thing again, someone mentioned, like some people mentioned about, is some kind of gloating kind of thing where there's a spray or there's some kind of emoji that you can, right after you kill somebody, then you can have a spray or something.
Yeah, that's an interesting content, and I think it's a interesting gameplay mechanic, like the ultimate brag, right? You go there and it's like, oh, this is where I had that kill. Yeah, there are implications on how we put those textures into the game. And again, we want to support, that's one of the priorities we have. Like, we want to support as many players as possible. That means supporting as many devices as possible. So any tiny feature actually grows into memory consumption and how that can impact the whole player base. So yeah, but it's something we have ideas for. So yeah.
Cool. And I mean, I kind of lied. I have one more. I just want to ask for, like, competitive
One
wise,
more.
just from me. It's like, have we thought about something like related to, let's say right now when you competitive side, when you, let's say you don't have enough money and you want to buy something for your other player, now what we have to do right now is we have to just buy it and then drop it so the other player can get it. But have we thought about something like being able to buy for somebody? Let's say someone could request for a gun, or maybe if sometimes you like buy a weapon and then you buy it on accident because it's just a misclick, that you did, but then you're able to kind of sell it back to the the store so you can actually buy something. So for example, let's say you're on an equal round and everyone's like, okay, we should save, but there's one person that's like, oh, I already bought a force bought the AK with no armor, so they're like, uh-oh, you're kind of like stuck with that. So
Yeah.
I just wanted to throw that one last thing, just because like I am trying to plan for our esports and competitive scene. So I just wanted to get your thoughts on that.
Yeah,
Sure.
because I can drop in some knowledge on some of the technical things that I've been actually looking into lately. Is that we do have really extensive economy tools in our game. Like, we can do a lot of things with the economy, and we are exploring on expanding all of the options we have to build more, do more with the current game mode creation tools we have in-house. So basically, in order to create that kind of things, we do have to do tech first. So we have to figure out the technical solutions for those ideas, and then after that we are able to hopefully prototype and test and explore it more, see the impact and all that kind of things. So there's a lot of things that come down to, can we do that? We need to figure out some technical solutions first, then we can prototype, then we can see, like, in order to get that kind of things out. But yeah, that's an interesting idea, like selling something back that you bought. But right now it's basically just exploring and looking into the ideas, and that's a solid idea. I think if Kalle wanna give some feedback on those.
Yeah, I mean, the feature is quite interesting from the as a competitive player. Like, you go in, but there should be a penalty if you buy it by accident. You can actually have some small penalty, but you don't end up with a weapon that you don't want to. So the solution is more complex to that. I think what we love to see here is, notice that we have now the weapon holsters. So something hidden from this feature is that as a competitive player, I can quickly see and scan around, and I can actually see what my teammates have. And you can quickly tell, yeah, they don't have any weapons. That's something that before it required for you, hey, eco, don't buy. And then if somebody buys it, you can actually see it. You can see it on the back. So that's one step. The next step is going to be, how can we then introduce features like, hey, drop me AK? That's something that's really common, right? But it should be transparent. It should be something that you as a player don't have to think about. Like, you go there and it's like, okay, request this, and then it pops up to the player that has money for it, right? And then I buy it for you, and then you have it. So it's something that we have to think about it carefully, and has to deliver on the promise of solving the issue. So yeah.
Something that comes to my mind just quickly is that when you look at the current upcoming room owner features, you can kind of practice and test that. So give us feedback, see what you can do with the room owner feature commands, like, hey, buy something for somebody else and give it to somebody else, and test those kind of things. We will see the feedback, we will look at it, and then we will kind of see, like, okay, this might be a viable option. So we are kind of, as you noticed, like a feature we introduced now and another feature, they will kind of play together, and you have a lot of options to explore. So we are not just only doing it ourselves, we're also looking at what you guys kind of come up with those features, because exactly what you just said, what Kalle said, you could technically do that in a room that you're hosting with other people. So you can have, like, everybody be a room owner almost, and be like, okay, drop that, give me that. But you should see the commands as well. So there are a lot of things we consider all the time, and that's something, just throwing it out there, that you can start testing and give us feedback on those kind of ideas.
Great. No, thank you guys for sharing that. And I still see a bunch of different things in chat, and I also see it's like related to competitive. So again, it's just we're taking all the suggestions down. Like you should see this list that I made, and it's like it's like endless. So but just trust that we are, looking at your suggestions. It's just it takes time for us to kind of look to see like what makes sense for us to put in, and again, we are looking into everything that you're suggesting, and then especially with our circuit going and feature tournaments planned, we are looking into the competitive changes as well for the game. But again, thank you guys for sharing the game design kind of information and what you guys do, and I think it's very refreshing and very it's great for everyone to know how this the process is. Again, it's not just like a easy click of a button. It's heavily thought through, and after that it's tested, and you don't know if it's gonna make it to the game or not, but there is just a lot behind it. But again, right now. Let's. It seems like we can only do one game at least, and then we can do a giveaway and then we can end the stream. So
Sounds good.
at this time, yeah, let's do another giveaway right now. If you guys can pick again 3 each, and everybody that wants to enter this giveaway, type in your IGN exactly how it is, spelled in game. Don't put anything before or after that's not in your IGN. And I guess I'll set up the game real fast as that's going. And I'll put it in EU since most of you guys are there.
Alright, I already picked mine. Should I go?
Sure.
So first pick is Scopeless. The second one is Den Plays. And the last one is _monkey_.
Yeah, I have mine as well, so I can go next. The first one is I will put it here to our chat. So I think it's Exaggerate. The second one is -Skillex. And the third one is _A for Atma, I think. So _A for TMA _.
Okay. And I have my 3 picks. First one is Smoggy. And then we have Kazuyai. And then we have Silence with a Z. So congrats to all of you two.
Yeah, congrats to all the winners. You're quite lucky.
What are you?
Am I picking? I can pick 3 real fast. Hopefully they have a big picked. Well, okay, I have to copy and paste. Okay, SYLENZ, congratulations. Unknown the Murder, congratulations. And -Jinx, or JNYX-2, congratulations. Okay, I sent you guys the room code. And yeah, we're just gonna do a quick death match since we don't really have much time left at all. So it's just gonna be quick, and then we're gonna say our goodbyes. So
You want to do a death match in bout? Crazy man.
What? Madman.
I
Madman. This is madness.
yeah. Okay, so I will put the code and password to everyone in the chat, and whoever gets in and you stay till the end of the end score, you will get 1 fantasy case. So good luck to everybody. May the odds be forever in your favor. Okay, the code is MHQ, and the password is design. I forgot about
good password. Good password.
So you have to stay till the very end when I take the screenshot. If you're not there, then I'm sorry. You're not going to get anything. And I actually made it so that you can only get certain weapons on here. So, all right, let me pull this screen here.
All right, so we are joining the match. Who's going to be here?
But yes, at this time, your last minute questions. Anybody have any questions or suggestions or anything like that? Feel free.
Yeah. Yeah, feel free. We are still reading the chat, and we can actually talk about it while we be in this madness of massive deathmatch I'm about.
Gosh.
Yeah, I quite liked Bout. It's one thing that when I saw it, I think it was really awesome to see because it brings multiple solutions array. You have this awesome map for the game mode, but it's something we already have seen people using it for 1v1 or duels or stuff like that. So it's really cool to see. So
Yeah, it's a great map because of its size and the layout. It allows you to do and test and practice a lot of interesting things. And believe it or not, it's something that I use almost daily as a prototyping bed almost for my game mode stuff, because that's something that it's quick to test. It has all the features of every map that we have, so it's really fast to iterate and try it like with a small amount of players as well. So
exactly, and I've seen it. I've seen it even for new players and old players. Like they really use it because it has those like instant. Like okay, You don't have to search for the spawn point. It's just okay. Let's try this. I'm gonna test something with with a sniper, or I want to test this, and yeah, it has all that in a really nice tight package.
That was really quick.
That's insanely quick.
I mean,
Yep.
we are
match ended.
we are very short on time, so that gives us one, very last, giveaway. Time for a giveaway. So, what should we give away? We did some dungeon. Is it dungeons? Deagles and Dragon fantasy case. So, yeah, I guess we could do again. Well, I mean, because there's three of you guys. How about this? Would do a special giveaway? A special skin in the fantasy.
Oof, that's not easy, man.
What maybe there's a certain skin that you guys like, and each of you guys like in the new event, and then you have the power to give that to one person in the chat. So one of your favorites, and then you'll give it to one person in the chat. So everybody in the chat right now can start putting their IGNs exactly how it's spelled in the game, and then So this is very different.
I tell you what. Yeah. I tell you what. This is something that is interesting because it's you're basically throwing us under the bus. Like this is. Okay, should we pick a knife or should we pick a glove? Like, come on, like it's not easy.
Just pick a tier 1 skin. Tier 1 skin only.
Exactly. That's what I meant. Like that's you can do whatever you want. Just pick something that you like, and whoever you pick will get that.
Yeah, you may like a tier 3 skin.
Yeah,
it looks better to you.
Yeah. So. But yes, before you guys do pick the winner, so please look through it and pick the winner, and then when we announce, you'll say the skin, and you'll announce the winner. But I want to do a quick recap of what happened today. Today we went over some updates about our community programs. We went into information about our upcoming updates on 1.18. And we were able to have our awesome design team take part of on stream and teach us and give us more information about how things are added into the game. So if you missed the stream, make sure you go back and watch the VOD. But yes, last couple things. Deagles the Dragons event is still going on right now. There is 10 days left on the event. And again, the Critical Pass Season 15 ends in 3 days. All right. Who wants to go first?
I'm not gonna be the one. No.
Okay, I can just be. I'll break the ice. I will.
Okay, break it, break it.
I will go
Do it.
here, and I will choose. I will choose the short sword. I like the sword.
The easy way.
The short sword. So, whoever I pick, I will just randomly pick one right now. Will get this. Okay. Here we go. Copy. Paste. Congratulations goes to Royal Hunter 960.
Nice.
Wow.
Royal Hunter 960, you get a short sword. Okay, next.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll go next. So this is a skin that I've been using recently
Which
for
one?
a weapon that we all use. So P250.
P250. Okay.
Yeah, it's the pistol everybody likes to use, and it's the default pistol. So everybody will see your cool skin, and it's a gun you use a lot. So and it will be the incantation skin. It's a tier 4
Tier
skin.
4.
Yep. Do you have it?
I think
What?
so. I think so. I do. This one.
It's
Alright.
that one.
Cool.
Yeah.
Incantation.
Yes, that
It's
is the
beautiful.
one. Correct. And it will go to X Nuclear.
Okay. Can
All
you
right.
type that to me so I
Yeah.
can? Yeah.
Yeah, now it's my turn. Okay. I think I'm gonna pick the sword. I'm gonna knight somebody today.
Okay.
Now for now and always you will be known as Sir Clutcher dash.
Okay. So was that the name?
Yes, Clutcher dash. Is the
Sir Clutcher dash.
IGN. Yes.
Yes.
Sir Clutcher. There you go.
There
Your
you go.
sword.
Congratulations. And
Yeah.
last giveaway for today. Jonas,
And
what do
for
you
me-
what weapon do you choose?
Well, I was myself a huge fan of the sword as well, but what I'm doing is I'm actually going with one of the cool knives that we had, so the dragon knife that we had. And
Oof.
actually there was a lot of consideration with the names because Igor managed to pick the same one that I had before, so we're going to be doing a new pickup, so get those names rolling in the chat right now because I'm going to be picking up one of the newer entries to the list.
And
I'm
Okay.
there was
who
the question
picked
about this real fast. Sorry, it wasn't called the dragon here. Wasn't it a different name?
Originally, apparently it was, we had a internal name difference in there and there was some
Code name.
interesting mix-ups with communication that we ended up having one knife called as dragon in the game. So yeah.
Hey,
Okay, I have
Yeah.
picked a name and that name matches well with the knife. It's Blue.
Blue.
Blue. You're the
Right.
proud owner of the Blue Dragon knife now.
Perfect. It fits. Really lucky, Mr. Blue.
Okay. Congratulations to all the winners today. That is all the time that we have for today. And again, thank you, Igor, Kale, and Jonas again for joining. We can't wait for you guys to come back and share more with our community about some upcoming updates.
Yeah.
So-
Awesome. Thank you for having us.
Thank
I
you.
mean,
Yeah. this was a
super
lot of
awesome
fun.
deep dive. Yeah. Awesome. Thank you.
All right. So again, also thank you to the community for joining us. Please take care, stay safe, and we'll see you guys in the next one. All right. Take care, guys.